Okay, let's get started. Hello, Ontonauts and the Kima community. I'm Claire. I lead growth here at Ontology, and I'm super excited to chat with you all today. Thanks a lot for joining this AMA. We're going to unpack everything that there is about Kima. Well, at least at the start. Hopefully, we can do. We'll follow up with another AMA. But they're up to a lot, so I'm super excited to hear all about that as well. And then we're going to do a reminder and an intro for anybody that hasn't heard about it. But it's going to be about the 10 million Ontology DID fund. So here's a quick outline of the session today. We've got about 30 minutes together. I've got a few points to cover just to make sure the community can get an intro into Kima, but this isn't just about me talking at you guys. So feel free to drop your questions. And then if I don't get time to get back to them, I can always follow up afterwards. But yeah, I'll make sure to get back to you. Okay, cool. So let's get started. I'd really like to welcome Eitan Katz, co-founder and CEO of Kima Network. Eitan, can you give everyone an intro to yourself and also an overview of Kima Network?
Yeah, sure. So I started my career as a software engineer over 3 decades ago, and throughout my career, technology was part of my passion, and that's also part of what we're doing at Kima. Everything is built on a groundbreaking, innovative technology to solve really problems. After spending a few years as a software engineer, I moved on to some other roles in the tech sphere, doing product marketing, services, sales, you name it, I probably did it. And a variety of companies and dealt with various challenges in the software industry, including how to build innovation within large corporates. I did it for Hewlett Packard, and I built the innovation machine of HP in a very unique framework for nurturing innovation. I fell into the crypto rabbit hole back in 2013. While working for HP, I read the Nakamoto white paper, which for me was a mind-blowing experience and really changed literally the course of my professional life. I was amazed by the level of innovation and the nexus of vectors of technology, finance, and the potential social impact. And that really brought me to start solving problems in this space. I was part of the founding team that created the first MPC-based Bitcoin wallet back in 2013, and also took a role in various of trading and arbitrage startups, and started building Kima 2.5 years ago to solve one of the biggest problems of this space and the financial space, which is interoperability and liquidity fragmentation. But I guess we'll speak about that later today.
Great, thank you so much. I can only assume that that was just a quick summary of everything you've been involved in, but I'd love to find out more. Maybe we can have a specific AMA just to learn more about your background. It sounds super interesting. Next on to Jeff for Head of European Ecosystem and Ontology. If you want to do a quick intro, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, cheers, Claire. I'm not sure I can quite compete with that background. That was very impressive. So I by trade, actually a climate scientist with an interest, a personal interest in lots of tech, but moved to Singapore in 2019, and you can't be in Singapore without being surrounded by crypto stuff. And actually very similar to Ethan on that is really got interested in the potential for social impact, for social change, particularly around developing countries, particularly around equity for people and accessibility for people. So, on that, I moved into doing more crypto stuff, particularly in marketing and things like that, but also with developing ecosystems and developing partnerships and doing those sort of things to help find ways that we can actually have impact from what we do in crypto rather than just speculation, which is great. I'm also a DGen in the DeFi space as well because I love it, but interested in general in lots of different things as well.
Thanks both. I think kind of coming together in that synergy of impact is going to be really interesting to explore. Eitan, I know you just kind of started with giving us a quick rundown of Kima, but would love to know kind of the main challenge that you're tackling and a little bit more about that approach.
Sure. So Kima started as a solution to a problem that the founding team had. We started with a different project completely. We developed a set of algorithms for hedge funds, for hedging strategies, automating hedging for financial institutions. And one of the major problems was the fact that for hedging strategies, we needed access to a variety of types of assets, asset classes, including derivatives, and those were mostly in Deribit, a centralized derivatives exchange, and mostly the Ethereum ecosystem. And when we wanted to use those assets in other ecosystems, such as Solana, that was something that obviously is not possible by design. So we started tackling that problem, and early on we saw that this is a huge problem, and the solution that we started building is a unique solution. So we decided to go all in. And if I have to try to draw the vision of Kima, we're trying to bring the attributes of a blockchain as we know them to the financial world as a whole. It's not just Web3. It's not just crypto, because a similar set of challenges, we can see them for decades in the financial system. This is why it's so difficult to move money between countries. This is why it's so slow and pricey to move money whatsoever. And sometimes it's even impossible to directly swap different asset classes. So the solution today in this world, especially when we talk about the interconnectivity between Web 2 and Web 3, is to put intermediaries. And didn't we invent the blockchain to remove those intermediaries? So in a way, it defeats its own purpose if we need to now put some intermediaries to enable use cases and workflows and trades and transactions that should be done without any intermediary. So Kima is exactly that. Kima is the blockchain that removes those intermediaries that can settle transactions across those ecosystems. So our vision is that Kima will be this pipe that can enable such cross-ecosystem transactions without the need for corporates and companies that will accept money on one hand and will send money on the other hand. If we can have a blockchain that can on-chain settle those transactions, that would be a huge efficiency gain for the entire financial world. And this is what we're trying to achieve.
That's really cool, actually, Eitan. I really like that because, we have this thing whereby we've got the traditional world, as we might call it, and then we've got blockchain or Web3 or crypto, whatever we want to call it. And for a long time, you could build something in Web3, you could build it on chain, and that's fine. But decentralized identity is very similar to what you've just described about finance. There's no real new problems. These problems have been issues for a long time. We're all trying to solve the same issues, and now as we start to mature as a technology, what we all have to understand is that there is no just Web3 technology going to sit there for solutions such as finance, such as decentralized identity. These solutions have to be able to work both on-chain, off-chain, in the real world, on the Web3 world, however you want to talk about it. They have to be able to work together across a range of products that people are building.
I totally agree. And I think that some of the challenges that we see today in the crypto world stem from the attempt for anyone and everyone to do everything themselves. So everyone is trying to build their own ecosystem and try to build the network effect, whereas the users are just getting, their assets, the liquidity, and the users themselves. They're fragmented all over. So we believe that interconnecting the ecosystems can remove that challenge that hinders the adoption whatsoever. It can improve the user experience. It can bring capital efficiency to the market, and last but not least, to bring in liquidity from the traditional finance and fiat. Why stop with crypto interoperability? Why not build the pipes that will bring in fiat into those the systems and the projects that we're building in the Web3 space?
I'm not sure if we lost Claire there. Can you still hear me okay, Ethan?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay,
yes,
that's
Jeff.
great.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I
Yeah.
think maybe we've I've just seen Claire on mute. Maybe she is there back now.
Speaking about, can everyone hear me okay
Can
now?
help
Yes.
now. Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, the joys of spaces, I guess. Okay, apologies for that. So I'd love to maybe focus a little bit back on a topic where we can bring in some kind of commonalities between ontology and Kima. I know you speak a lot about kind of sorting some issues in this space between Web 2 and Web 3, about scalability, but I think security would be a great topic to touch on for Kima Network. And then same question to Jeff as well, just about how Kima focuses on security. I'm sure it's a huge aspect.
Yes, absolutely. So it is big. It's I think the number one feature. That's where we started, because when we early on we looked at the available solutions. So we all know the bridges that try to bridge assets between chains, and we all know that those bridges got hacked, getting hacked pretty often, and this has become one of the major challenges: the security of those bridges. So the number one design guideline that we had, this is the challenge that we've put upon ourselves, is let's first identify the attack vectors, those attack surfaces that hackers use in order to steal money using bridges, and see how we can address those challenges, these attack vectors. And if you look back, and there's pretty much a lot of documentation for post-mortem analysis for all those hacks. And when you look back 2 or 3 years, one by one, I would say that 90% of those hacks have to do with one of the two factors. Either the hacker managed to find some bug or loophole or design issues in the code of smart contracts, or the hacks took place due to some malpractices of the private keys. Now we have to remember that a smart contract is a code that is being built by a human being or a team of people, and that team of people, unless those are immutable smart contracts, which most smart contracts are not, so there's also a trust assumption. We trust the team that built the smart contracts, unless we're actually reading the code of a smart contract when we transfer money before every transaction, and I assume that nobody does it. So we assume that smart contracts were built in order to transfer money in a secure manner, and they were audited. But guess what? I dare to say that almost 100% of the hacked smart contracts were audited. So auditing by itself is not full mitigation to the security challenge. So Kima's approach is completely different. We decided to challenge that approach and remove the use of smart contracts completely. So the funds that are being transferred and managed by the blockchain are not managed by smart contracts. We use accounts, EOAs, and the blockchain, and we can dive deeper on the how it does it. But basically, the blockchain is the entity that has the permission or collectively has a way to sign withdraw transactions. So the number one security feature, and this is a patent pending architecture, is to be able to manage and transfer funds without the use of smart contracts completely. So no smart contracts, no trust assumption, there's no problem or challenge of managing the private keys that hold the funds in the liquidity pools. So all of these problems are being eliminated just by eliminating the root cause for this problem. So that's, I would say, the number one security feature. We have additional security layers, which I can elaborate on those maybe later if that's of interest. But at the very high level, I would say that the keys, there's no single key to sign withdrawal transactions. We use the TSS, which is a cryptographic algorithm for threshold signatures, and SGX, which is a hardware component to store the key shards. But again, if that's the scope, I can definitely go deeper into those mechanisms.
It's really interesting that, Eitan. Claire's pretty much lost all her sound at the moment, so you're stuck with me on this. I think that's really interesting, that idea that, you're absolutely right. We saw lots and lots of different hacks around bridges, but also around different smart contracts, especially in DeFi, different areas. And, I always worry every time I sign a smart contract, every time I do something, I do worry about it because I can't read smart contracts. It's beyond my skill level. I'm not a programmer. It's not something I can do. And so that is very difficult for me. So I'm intrigued by this idea that you move them out of the equation, because obviously in my head, that's kind of the magic of Web3, is that we can write these contracts that say, if this happens, then that happens, and that allows the next thing to happen. And it's sort of that idea that it's trustless. I think you're right. It's not trustless. We trust that the smart contract is going to do what we think it's going to do, and it's not going to change down the line and be moved around. So really interested to hear just as a accessible an explanation as possible of how you actually move out of that smart contract situation.
Yeah, so I'll try to simplify it, and I beg the pardon of the technical listeners if I oversimplify it, but just so everyone understands the alternative, because I know that we keep talking, and we love, everyone, including myself, loves the concept of a piece of code that can be run in a distributed manner, and nobody controls it, and the verification is done on chain. So that's basically the simplistic definition of a smart contract. But again, as you said, nobody is actually reading the code of a smart contract before they run a transaction. Even if you can read code, even if you can understand what it says, you just don't do it. You just assume that if it worked last time, or if it worked for someone else, it will work for you. But that's where the trust comes in, you do trust the team that developed the smart contract. You do trust them, and that they manage the private keys for liquidity pools in a proper manner. We've seen multiple hacks that took place due to phishing attacks, and hackers got access to a private key, even in a multi-sig wallet, and managed to get and liquidate those pools. So our approach, in order to manage funds in a different way. So there are two ways to store a crypto asset. One is in a smart contract, as we all know, but the other option is to store it in an account. Our wallets are mainly accounts where we store the private key. We can store it in MetaMask. We can store it on a ledger or Trezor or Cold Wallet, but that's basically what it is. We have a way to store our private key, and this is why we own the assets, and that private key is the one that is used to sign transactions, mostly withdrawal transactions. So that's the option that we chose, and now the problem was, okay, so we can have liquidity pools on every ecosystem that we use. And this is how we move the funds. Basically, a Kima transaction has two parts. One is a deposit locally on the source ecosystem, and then the same amount is being released on the target ecosystem. That's as simple as that. And now the question is, okay, so how can we ensure that these liquidity pools where we store and where we withdraw from are who has the keys for these accounts? And that's where the second component of Kima comes into play, and this is the TSS. TSS stands for Threshold Signature Scheme. That means that in order to sign a transaction, we don't need one person or a few people to hold the private key in a single or a multi-sig wallet. We need a threshold of entities. In this case, in our case, it's the Kima validators, the wardens. So they need to come together, and just like in the consensus mechanism, they need to provide a shard of the private key for the liquidity pool from which a withdrawal takes place. So only by having this threshold, in our case, it's 2/3. So let's assume we will have 60 validators. Only if we get 40 validators that bring in their shards, this is a piece of the private key that is broken down and being distributed among the validators. So only when 40 validators will come together, provide a shard, the TSS algorithm will be used to sign a withdrawal transaction. So instead of having the key stored in one place or a few people in the multi-sig wallet, we just it's similar to an MPC, how an MPC wallet works, where you have multi parties that need to come together to sign together a withdrawal transaction. So that's the core of the withdrawal transaction in Kima's mechanism. So I hope it was clear enough.
No, that was perfectly clear. Thank you for that. And really interesting, right? Because there's great timing from you guys, I guess. There's so many conversations at the moment around multi-sig, how many people need to be in a multi-sig, the security in multi-sig. I think I read a story just yesterday, maybe, where somebody had a 2FA attack and they'd lost control of some private keys, and then some 500 million, I think, was drained out of it. So we see this as an ongoing conversation around security and around trust that is not going away anytime soon, right? I mean, people talking a lot about layer twos and some of the fact that they're quite centralized around multisigs and causing some concern with people. Whether they work fully towards decentralization or not is an ongoing question. So I think that's a really interesting approach and really valid at this moment in time, because those conversations are happening, right? You must see them all the time, Eitan.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, we wanted our solution not to rely on multi-sig due to the challenges and problems that this might bring. The main problem with multi-sig, so MPC and multi-sig may look similar, but they're different, because in multi-sig, let's say that you need 4 out of 6. So each one of the four that come together, they have the full key, but they need all to sign. 4 out of 6 need to sign the transaction. The problem is when what happens if 3 are going down. So there are some challenges in multi-sig management, and again, it's a matter of how well you manage to secure the keys in a multi-sig wallet. If the key is stored on your hard disk and someone gets access to the hard disk, then it's gone, right? It's 1 out of 6 or 8 or 4 or 2. It doesn't really matter. And we've seen multiple hacks that took place by getting access to those machines in some kind of remote attack, and getting the keys and being able to sign those transactions and stealing millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. We've seen them all. The sad part is that when there's a $2 million, $1 million hack, it seems that nobody's even getting nervous anymore. Yeah, we had another hack in the crypto space, and that shouldn't be the case. This is really, this should be put to an end. We should have more better practices in the way funds are being managed in this space.
Absolutely. We're coming up to a bit of the end of the time. I did want to kind of finish off with, for people who maybe aren't fully familiar with Kima and where you're at, it'd be really nice, I think, just to finish on a bit of a summary with where you guys are at the moment, but also what does what does the future look like? What's on the roadmap? What's coming up? What's next for Kima? What are you working towards?
Yeah, so we're actually in a very exciting phase right now. We're in this transition phase. So we're in testnet basically, so not alive yet, but developers can already reach out to us and get access to the SDK and integrate our SDK in their apps and be part of this testnet. So we encourage developers and app owners to reach out and be part of this process, this alpha and beta process that we're going through. We plan to start rolling out gradually our mainnet in the coming weeks. So this is really exciting. As early as next month, we will start seeing some real money transactions. Again, we're doing it in a limited manner, very controlled initially, but we just want to make sure that everything is being rolled out gradually and in a secure manner. Other than that, I invite everyone to join our communities on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Medium, and of course Telegram as well, and be part of the community. We are going to announce some major partnership announcements. We already have a quite vibrant ecosystem of applications that we announced the partnerships in spaces like payment. We have a partnership with MasterCard Innovation Lab. So we work closely with them on some interesting use cases, including hybrid fiat crypto cards. We work with real world asset projects on providing liquidity to these projects. And obviously we work with Web3 projects and some interesting relationships that we're starting to build with the financial institutions as well.
That sounds like so much going on, really exciting stuff. I really enjoy seeing people build things that actually matter and have real uses and real use cases in the world and can actually do things for people in the world. So that's really cool to hear. I'm going to wrap this up a little bit. Unfortunately, we lost Claire as our host, so I've had to step in and do a little bit of hosting. It's not really my natural position to be in, but that's okay as well. Thank you very much, Eitan, for talking to us and sharing a lot of information and doing a really good job on making it easy for us to follow and understand for those of you that are like me and not as technically minded. So that was really useful. I'll finish off with saying what I always say when I speak to people about crypto, Web3 and everything is do exactly as Eden just said. Join the communities, join in, get involved. It's not very often you get the chance to be part of something very early on and be part of those communities and do things. From Ontology's side, it would be remiss of me not to say that we currently have our own $10 million fund to try and encourage people to get involved with decentralized identity, writing guides, writing technical docs, or even helping us come up with new ways to integrate it into different projects. You know, in terms of security we spoke about for us, perhaps one of the biggest things that is going to come down the line is proving that you're human. AI is here, it's not going away. Proof of the humanity is going to be really important. If you've got ideas, if you know projects that can build, if you've got ideas about how people can build with other projects or whatever, there's money there and there's marketing and there's technical support to help you. So join our communities, talk to us, have a chat with us. We're here to help. Eitan, anything else you want to just add before we finish off this spaces?
No. Thank you, Jeff, for stepping in as the host. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I can already see some synergies with Ontology myself, between Kima and Ontology. We'll discuss that offline. I wanted to thank everyone that joined us today, and hopefully it was interesting enough, and encourage everyone to be part of the building communities, the building projects. It's a revolution and evolution taking place right as we speak, and be part of that.
Absolutely. Looking forward to more conversations. Okay, everybody, thank you for giving us your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you around. Until next time, have a great day. Goodbye.